We start with breaking news at 4. Phoenix police have taken action against Sergeant Dusten Mullen. He's the officer under internal investigation for confronting high school students during an anti-ICE protest in Chandler while he was masked and armed with a gun.
And in an exclusive interview, we are hearing from his attorney tonight. The incident happened in January when Mullen was off duty. Chandler Police say he went there hoping that students would assault him so they would be arrested. Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum broke this story Monday. He joins us live with his continuing coverage of Badge Unmasked. Justin.
John, this comes 4 days after our first report, and we'll have a response from the Phoenix Police Chief in just a moment. Sergeant Dusten Mullen is now on administrative leave, essentially assigned to work from home. That means no badge and no weapon as this internal investigation is ongoing. Now, his attorney, Steve Serbalik, tells me that his client did not break any laws as a counter-protester on January 30th. He says that he was actually a victim of assault when police say a student splashed him with water.
Tense moments near Hamilton High School in Chandler as students walked out to protest ICE, agitated by a masked man wearing a Trump 2024 shirt who we've identified as Phoenix Police Sergeant Dusten Mullen.
Did the masking have anything to do with him trying to hide the fact about his day job?
I can't speak to what masking does for protesters. I know that that's a common thing that's happening nowadays. People that are protesting or counter-protesting are often wearing masks.
That's Mullen's attorney, Steve Serbalik. Chandler Police say Mullen's plan was to let protesters assault him, and his goal was to get the kids put in jail. Video we obtained shows a teen girl detained after splashing Mullen with water and ice.
Was Dusten in fear for his safety that day?
At various times, based off of the information in the Chandler Police report, it appears that he was assaulted, and I don't think anyone would want to have water thrown on them when they're in a public place obeying the law.
So why did he appear to stay if he felt that he was, being threatened, being assaulted at that time?
There's a number of factors related to that, and this is one of the things that I talked about in my statement, that should be investigated and the sequence of events should be thoroughly documented. If a protester has a right to be in an area, does a counter-protester have the right to be in that area as well? And I think the Chandler Police report also talks about the fact that when Sergeant Mullen, when he left or was attempting to leave, he was being followed by the crowd that was there.
The report says Mullen didn't identify himself until he wished to press charges against the student who splashed him. He later got a police escort out of the area.
No one should be splashing water or ice or throwing anything at anyone when they're out in public. That is, by definition, under Arizona law, an assault.
The county attorney's office has declined to prosecute the juvenile for misdemeanor charges of assault and disorderly conduct. Chandler PD says Mullen also revealed he had supporters armed with rifles on the way.
Does that not look like a threat to bring backup to a high school walkout?
So I can't talk about that specific quote or that specific issue because that is a direct element of the Phoenix Police Department's Professional Standards Bureau inquiry. I'll just refer you back to what happened in the Chandler Police report, which is saying that that's not an illegal act at that point in time.
Mullen has been with Phoenix PD since 2008, a community action sergeant in the South Mountain precinct who made $336,000 last year. Serbalik says the sergeant is deeply concerned about this investigation.
Can the citizens of Phoenix trust him on their streets?
Well, let's take that and break it down a little bit. So let's say about half the country supports President Trump, half the country does not support President Trump. If you attend a rally in favor of one or the other, you're going to have people that are upset. Now, if you're doing that in uniform on duty, the expectation is that you will be neutral and not offer an opinion. But what I wouldn't want is for a condition of being a police officer is that you're not able to participate in a debate that is going on in the country. He's been a supervisor who's served his community well, and the expectation is that his rights and responsibilities will be fairly weighed, and if any discipline is imposed, that it would be fair and proportional to any misconduct that's found.
In Phoenix, Police Chief Matt Giordano released a statement that reads in part, quote, "As law enforcement professionals, we are held to higher standards of conduct both in and out of uniform. Our community expects integrity, accountability, and sound judgment from every member of this department, and I expect the same. When we fall short, we must be accountable, and we will not tolerate actions which undermine the trust the community has placed in the department. Giordano also says the investigation will conclude soon. You can read his full statement on fox10phoenix.com. We will continue to follow the story. I'm Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum.
Justin, thank you. And you can find our reporting on this story, including exclusive coverage, on our website and also on our YouTube page.